Once upon a time, Fulltone came out with an overdrive pedal called the OCD because they felt that the world needed an overdrive pedal with more gain in it. More recently, a newer company called Horizon Devices did the same thing with the Precision Drive. Well, X Gear have come along recently and said, "Hold my beer." Hey, welcome to you. My name's Robert. Welcome to my home studio. Thank you so much for joining me here today and checking out the Krush Overdrive from X Gear with me here today. This thing is an overdrive monster. Probably the highest gain overdrive I have ever played. This thing is seriously very liable to give those overdrives that I mentioned at the beginning of the video a run for the money. But it is not a clone of anything out there. It's really its own unique design, which is also very, very cool. And there are a ton of cool tones to be had out of this thing. I hope you enjoyed the track that I recorded with it here at the beginning. Hopefully you have an idea of how this pedal will perform in a real-life situation. For the playthrough demo of this thing, I'm going to do something I've actually never done before, which is loop a riff with my Music Man Majesty. You know, basically just turn all the knobs, you know, all the way one direction to the other. We're going to do this in 3 different settings here. I've got the Krush Overdrive first running into the clean channel of my Laney IRT Studio, so you can hear how it sounds into a clean amplifier. Then we're going to run it into a distorted overdriven setting of the Laney so that you can hear how it sounds into an amp. Then we're going to put it back to clean and run it into the X Gear Max Metal distortion pedal so that you can hear how it sounds going into a distortion. And like I said, I actually like it all 3 ways, and there are a ton of cool sounds you can get out of this thing. So here's what she sounds like. So there you have it. I hope this was a fair illustration of everything that this pedal is capable of. I really, really like it. It took me a little bit to figure out how to best utilize it and how to dial it in, because I started when I first plugged it in and started messing with it. I had the gain turned all the way down, and it was still like flamethrower distortion, which I was not expecting. So it, once I tweaked some knobs and fiddled around with it, I figured it out. And as I've mentioned a couple of times already in this video, there's a lot of cool sounds out of this thing. All right, so taking a closer look here, we have there's 6 knobs on this particular overdrive pedal. 4 of them are pretty typical controls that you see on a lot of other overdrive pedals: gain, volume, bass, and treble. The 2 that are not very typical are these last 2 over here. This one here is a presence control, and if you're not familiar with what a presence control does, it's basically a treble control but it's a treble control on the output portion, output section of the circuit, as opposed to the input like this one does. So if you're not quite getting the right treble frequencies or tones with this knob, you can fine tune it a little bit with the presence control. A lot of amps will have presence controls that does the same thing. It's basically on an amplifier. It's basically a treble control on the power section of the amp instead of the preamp. Same concept here. And last but not least, what has become my new favorite guitar effects pedal control ever is the meat knob. And basically what it is, it's a tight control. The only other pedals that I can think of off the top of my head anyway, at least that I have experience with, that have a similar control is the amp tweaker stuff. The amp tweaker stuff has a tight knob. So this is a very, very similar control. And you may have noticed when I was playing with it in the playthrough that turned all the way down, you might have noticed the bottom end get really, get a little flubby and a little muddy. Well, when you turn that up, that will tighten up the bottom end of the EQ. So if you're running this pedal into a darker sounding amp or a bottom heavy something or other, and you'll notice, you may have noticed when I ran it into the max metal distortion pedal, I had the low boost on. So if you notice the bottom end flubbing out a little bit, you can tighten it back up by tightening up the meat control. Very, very handy feature, and allows this pedal to be used in a lot more amplifiers than it would be otherwise. So great thinking, excellent design on the part of the folks at X Gear. And of course, you have a nice, this one's got a white LED as opposed to the red ones on the Max Metal, but this one has a white LED on the switch, or around the switch rather, as well as the lights. The knobs there also light up themselves, but they're not blinding at all. So if you're using this on a dark stage and you kick it on, again, they designed it right to where it's not going to blow your eyes out and blind you on stage. And I think it's also worth noting that the amp tweaker pedals that have that control on it, and an amp tweaker refers to it as the tight control, all of those pedals are over $300 a piece. The Krush Overdrive is significantly more inexpensive than that. So, speaking of price, though, this is not, I said this in the video that I did on the Max Metal Distortion, this is not a, this is not a cheap Chinese clone pedal company at all. These pedals are all up around the $150 range. The Krush Overdrive in particular sells new on Amazon for $139, which I will have a link to that down in the description if you want to go check it out. So these are definitely they're priced very, very fairly, but they're not competing with the budget stuff. These are not budget pedals. These are significantly higher end than that, and I think the performance tells the story. So, and they also they look cool. They look cool, and I think they're designed very, very well. They're built right. They come in actually a really cool box as well. And they're just they're great pedals. Everybody at X Gear, this is the second video that I have done on their products, and everybody that I have communicated with at X Gear are fantastic people. You know, they also produce their own content, and I think they have their own YouTube channel. I know Paul Killian, who is a monster guitar player, by the way. You know, he does a lot of content for them via Facebook, but you know, their content, you know, his content is really based more around you know, music theory and stuff like that, because like I said, he's a really, really advanced guitar player. So, you know, I think they're doing a lot of really, really cool things for the community, and the Krush Overdrive in particular, I truly think is going to give the Precision Overdrive a run for its money, and I would really like to see X Gear and the folks involved do well with it. So again, links down in the description below if you would like to check out the Krush Overdrive for yourself, as well as links to all the other gear used in this video. Please don't forget to hit the like, share, subscribe buttons there down at the bottom. As always, thank you so much for watching. Adios.